It's Do Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Do Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. And we talked about the Alabama husband and wife who are pastor and first lady. Well, he was pastor and she is first lady. There had been many stories of this domestic abuse and violence issues going on with him. And unfortunately, the last calamity happened between the two of them. Decarius Green, a pastor over at Elba Zion Missionary Baptist Church. And unfortunately, it became a fatality. And we had mixed reviews from those who, attended to church. We had mixed reviews from those who just read the news article, and very concerning because now that all the cat's out the bag, that he had some issues with his anger, even to the point where he was charged with beating a pregnant woman, which could have been the wife all along. People said, that's why I don't go to church. Well, we know that's everybody's excuse who don't go to church. There's always somebody in the church that keeps them from going to church. Well, let me help you understand that it's between you and the Lord. So whether you want to use that for an excuse or not, that's on you. But that one pastor is not going to be the one who keeps you from making it into the kingdom, because you let that deter you from seeking God any further. We also had a comment from one of the attendees of that church. Hey, well, I'm gonna, miss him, and we're gonna just celebrate life and who he was, and I don't know about that. As people say sometimes, one moment does not, describe a person's life. But in this case, yeah, he had a history of domestic abuse and violence. That's who he was. Now, how these people sat underneath him all this time, I don't know. I'm not going to be celebrating a life that made someone else's life miserable. He had several instances where the police had to be called. That was a very unhappy marriage, which brings us to the question, where has the church been? How have they been in this church all this time and no one saw the signs that this woman was being abused? No one could tell that there was something amiss? No. Y'all not paying attention enough. There's nowhere in the world that your pastor and their spouse have this level of calamity and nobody notices. Or are you keeping a secret? Then shame on you as well. That this is not a time when you should be keeping a secret. Now, I'm not saying that you go and stand out and make, an entire, announcement. But check your discernment radar. How about that? And let's help more than we just go in there, wave our hand, sit, listen to a sermon, put our money in the plate, sing a song, and be up out of there for the rest of the week. We have a responsibility, everybody. Let's get it done. Okay? All right. Well, today is Wow Wednesday. We made it to the middle of the week, and our girlfriend Vivian is hanging out in the wings, waiting for us so she can do her socially conscious segment. So let's get this party started. Go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, everybody that it's due time when Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere because we will be right back.
Something that no one has ever taught you. Wake up early in the morning before your feet even hits the ground. You should be barefooted and don't talk to anyone. Then you begin to prophesy over yourself. Begin to speak the words of God over your destiny. I'll give you an example. Use your name. I, Kimona, will prosper. The works of my hands are blessed. Everything I touch is blessed. My life is blessed. My business is blessed and will always prosper. Opportunities will always find me. Always locate me. I am protected by God. I will always walk in good health. My destiny helpers are locating me and they will help me. My life is a blessing. My children are a blessing. My marriage is a blessing. I will never know lack. I will always prosper. I will attract wealth all the days of my life. I am favored by God. My destiny is connected to great people in Jesus' name. Speak upon your destiny.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and it is Wow Wednesday, everybody. Well, we're giving God thanks because we're here. We got through the first half of the week, so we're trusting Him to get us through the second half. Well, we won't belabor this any longer because our girlfriend Vivian is waiting. We had some technical difficulties, so thanks for hanging out with us. And you know how we do on Wednesday, we do our shout outs after Viv. So make sure you hang out with us and get that blessing today. Hey Viv, what's going on? Good morning.
Hey, happy Wow Wednesday. How are you, Pastor Steph?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's warming up. The snow is melting.
All right.
Happy to see that.
Me too, especially that you're sitting up in the cold. So Thank you so much. And you know what I like to ask? What you got for us today?
All right, today on Socially Conscious, we are starting off with our Mayor Mamdani, in the news again because he is saying he is joining the fight, joining the fight to change how mental health related 911 calls are handled in New York City. Right now, police are often sent to these calls even when no crime has taken place. And Mamdani argues that this response can escalate situations for people already in mental health crises. He points to national data showing why advocates say change is urgent. They're saying about 7 out of 10% of police encounters involve someone with a mental health condition, and people experiencing a mental health crisis are more than 10 times more likely to have force used against them by police. Studies also show that around 1 in 4 fatal police shootings, 1 in 4 fatal police shootings involve someone in a mental health crisis. Mamdani supports shifting nonviolent calls to train mental health professionals and crisis response teams instead of these calls going to police. He says mental health emergencies should be treated as health situations, not criminal ones, and that changing who responds could reduce arrests, injuries, and deaths while getting people the help that they actually need. So he is pushing for Congress to make this change. Next, we have another story where people took to social media. They're saying in the aftermath of the snowstorm, social media has become the megaphone in which people across the country are posting what winter conditions really look like out here in New York City. One post that cut through the noise came from a employee, Jason Thompson, who is employed by the United States Postal Service. He is a mail carrier and has been one for over 20 years. He shared his concerns on Facebook after he arrived to work and found the mail trucks buried in snow. The lots were not properly plowed, and little direction from his supervisors came. He said in his post that he wasn't complaining but was calling attention to unsafe conditions for essential workers such as himself, saying that he expected them to come, push through, and get something done, but instead they put him on unpaid emergency suspension after, and also asked him to remove the post from his Facebook. Eventually, he took a stress leave instead. The story has since gone viral, sparking broader conversation online about worker safety, free speech, and how institutions respond when employees use social media to show the public what's really happening. So we constantly talk about people going to social media and posting things that they shouldn't be posting. They post themselves trying to embarrass someone when they're really embarrassing themselves, posting intimate conversations, they're disciplining their children. But is this one of those situations? Should this have stayed private, or is this a social media win? Let us know what you think. And next we have an update on the nurses' strike. They're saying that the nurses have taken to calling out our governor, Kathy. They went and rallied outside her Manhattan office, asking her to step in more forcefully. Many are saying that the strike has dragged on for the past 4 weeks now. And one of the main reasons is because hospitals can rely on temporary out-of-state nurses, something that has been allowed under the governor's emergency actions, which nurses argue has reduced the urgency to reach a deal. They're saying they do not want another speech. They do not want another statement, whether it was written or verbal. What the nurses are asking her to do is to limit, reduce, or put stricter conditions on that practice so hospital executives feel urgency to negotiate instead of stalling. Second, they want her to publicly and directly pursue hospital leadership. They're saying that they want her to issue a general statement of support. That means calling hospital executives to the table, demanding timelines for negotiations, and using the state's political influence to push both sides toward a deal. instead of doing what she has been doing, which is remaining neutral. And lastly, nurses are asking the governor to choose patient safety as the priority, not hospital profit margins. They argue that long term reliance on temporary staffing is expensive, unstable, and unsafe for patients, and that solving staffing and workload issues through contracts is better for the healthcare system overall. So they are calling her out and asking her to step up in their favor so that this nurses strike can finally come to an end. So now we await her response. And now for our wow story of the week in honor of Black History Month. This story takes us to South Africa, where a 16-year-old girl named Boholi, she decided she was not going to stay silent about violence against women. Instead of just watching the news, she decided to create a smart safety earring that looks like regular jewelry, but has powerful technology inside. With one discreet press, the earring can take photos of an attacker and send an emergency alert with the wearer's location to police and trusted contacts. Her invention earned her a bronze medal at a national science competition, and she's now working to expand it so it can help girls and women stay safe. At just 16 years old, Bahali is a reminder that Black excellence isn't just something we celebrate from the past, it's something that is happening right now. So a round of applause to this young lady and her movement to helping people who are going through any type of violence. At just 16 years old, she was able to achieve this. Great for her. But this has been Vivian with Socially Conscious, giving you the news that we are following. And remember, if you have any wild stories you would like to submit, please feel free to direct message me on Facebook. My username there is Vivian BM. And come back every Wednesday to find out if your story has been chosen. Thank you, as always, to our loyal viewers. And thank you, Pastor Steph.
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you, as always. A great job. Thank you so much for your contribution today. And we pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you, you as well.
Thank you. Ah, good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, excuse me. You know how we do. We get our good mornings and our check-ins on. We're so happy to have you all with us this morning. So if you're in the room, make sure you shout out to Pastor Steph, because other than that, I don't know you're on. Okay? Well, we got to check in from our girl, Ketty. Hey, girl. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We got to check in from our boy, Serge. Hey, Serge, what's going on? We got to check in, from our lady, Tamika. She's in that chat room, but she is actually backstage waiting to get this conversation on. So good morning. Good morning. We got to check in from our boy Brian, nice and early this morning. Good morning, Brian. Thank you so much for joining us. We got to check in from Mr. Morrison. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And we pray you are well. All righty. Giving God thanks, and we pray you are well. All right. So we got to make sure we say good morning to the ladies that keep us held down each and every day. And let's say good morning to our girl Shantice. Hey, good morning. Let's say good morning to our girl Anika. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning. Now I'm getting some notifications that there's something coming into the chat room, but it's not actually hitting the chat room. So It's popping up on my screen. I don't know why it's popping up on the screen instead of going into the chat room earlier. So if you're actually commenting, just keep commenting. I don't know where it's going into La La Land, but just keep going. If I don't respond, it's because I didn't see it for a long term. So I can't, say what you're saying. So I apologize. Don't know what's going on this morning, but listen, hang out with us anyway, because we got some stuff that we need to talk about. Okay. All right. Let's get these ladies on the line with us. Let's say good morning to our girl, Lady Tamika. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Wow Wednesday to you. How are you?
I am well, thank you. I am well. I meant to give a shout out. I don't know if Miss Grace is hanging out in the background this morning, but she's not doing well. I pray that she's doing better. Last I spoke to her, that she was doing a little better than she was before. So we want to give Miss Grace a wonderful good morning, a shout out, let you know that we're thinking about you, we're praying about you, we're praying for you, and we hope that you get better. Lady Tamika, how's this midweek going? Our weather is shifting, girl. It's shifting just a little bit.
It is. When I think about this weather, when we're truthful, we're actually due it. We've been spoiled rotten for years. We have not had snow. Now that it's out there, it's going to melt eventually. And spring will.
Yes.
So we're doing all right.
Yeah, I said the same thing when we got the snow. I was like, well, can we really complain? Because we've gone through several winters where we had absolutely no snow. Right. So we really got to give God thanks. And if this is the snow that falls and that's it for the rest of the winter and it just hangs around like this, I could deal with it. Because like you said, it's gonna eventually melt, like you said.
The other thing that I'm thanking God for, you notice that the flu count is going down. Probably because all this snow, it decreases all the infections and diseases. We really got something to give God praise.
Absolutely. And you know what I was thinking about? I'm amazed that you brought that up. I remember back in 2001 when 9/11 happened, and we constantly had snowstorm after snowstorm after snow after snow, and people were complaining. And I said to myself, how can we complain? Is God actually blocking further attempts? There were other attempts that may have been in line that we knew nothing about, but they can't do it now because they can't see. The snow is falling. It's so cold, so we don't know what they actually have planned. And we need to be giving God thanks. So, with all of this cold, I thought about the same thing. I'm like, well, when I was in a hospital, it was freezing. It was freezing. And I kept asking, why is it so cold? And they were like, listen, they got to keep the temperature low so that, it is made. Because remember, I told you it was jam-packed in there. So they kept the temperature low so to kind of keep the infection from spreading. And I got to tell you, God is good, because I was in there. I was in the emergency room for about a day and a half. I was in the hospital itself for a whole week, and I never got sick. So God is amazing, Tamika. In the freezing, I made it. So like you said, this cold can actually be helping the germs and keeping them pretty contained or killing it. So, hey, thank you, God. We'll say thank you. We'll say, that's right. We'll say thank you. Thank you for that little piece of information that some people may not even be thinking about. Let's say good morning to our girl, Shantice. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning.
I am well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. We got a check-in from Miss Harlema. Good morning, Miss Harlema. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So, ladies, let's get to talking about some of this socially conscious stuff Vivian's got going on. Now, she starts with Mayor Mamdani, who is, like she said, joining the fight to change the 911 calls and the mental health issues that are actually a part of those 911 calls, a bigger part of these calls than we would really even care to talk about. And like she said, joining the fight, because this is definitely not the first time this conversation has come up. The regular response, such as the police come out, so forth and so on, can be pretty bad and sometimes even fatal. And the change is urgent. He is also calling out, because there's 7 out of 10% of the mental health calls involve the police, and there's 1 in 4 calls that are fatal. So now he's asking, and like I said, this is not the first time this has been put on the table, but for mental health officials to actually either get the calls or the calls are responded to by them. Now, this has been an issue that's been going on for a while. Now, do we have the mental health officials actually get the calls, or do they respond to the calls? Or is it both? Or is it none? What say you, Lady Tamika?
With the occurrences that we've had within the last couple of years, I even saw one this morning where, a gentleman who had mental health issues, it seemed as though they called the ambulance, the police came, and he had a knife, and the officer at one point had closed the door, but the mental health person was still charging. So they shot him. In the video, you can literally see they shot him, but he didn't die. But I think they shot him in the leg or something like that. And I think it's important that we address what the real concern is. If somebody's calling and saying, my relative or whomever has a mental health concern, that should be the first statement. And those calls should directly go to mental health agents, Then my thing is, we also have situations where, someone seems to be unhinged. Any type of concern, when you call like that, you need to verbalize so that they can disperse. They don't go straight to police officers, but they go where they're needed.
Okay. Shantice, what say you? You got a hey Shantice from Brian this morning.
Good morning. I agree. It should definitely be where the calls are itemized. That needs to be something that the dispatcher asks. Because sometimes in the height of something, if the situation is chaotic, whoever's calling 911 may not remember or think to mention that, like, okay, this is a mental health situation, they're the one calling for the help. So that the dispatchers definitely need to be trained to add that. Like, the first thing they ask is, do you need ambulance, fire, or police? It needs to be, is this a crime or is this mental health? Do you need so that way it can help to the calls to go where they need to go, because like Lady Tamika said, we've been hearing a whole lot of, well, it was only this that I called you for, but because y'all just want to make it home safe, you ended up killing someone that didn't need to be killed, or drawing your weapon on someone that, it didn't have to get to that point, but there was no one else I could call. There was no one else I could call, so of course they're going to dispatch the police. They're not going to dispatch the fire department or the EMTs for this. So definitely, I believe that needs to be implemented in their opening script, that question, so that they'll know, do I keep the call or do I send it over?
Okay. So several things went through my head. One of the things that went through my head, what came to my mind, was who's making the phone call? Is this a call that's coming from the street, or is this coming from a person? This is an intimate domestic situation, because that shifts everything. You know, when you have this internal knowledge, like you ladies said, then they can give that information up just like that. If you're calling from the street and this person is just acting up, you know, do you really know whether this is some kind of mental issue or not? I have a video that I came across the other day, and it's really, it kind of highlights what is actually going on here. And that was one of the questions at the time, like, well, how do you handle these things? How do you handle, you know, a person who's panicking, and now you know, you're panicking and the person is, you know, mentally unstable, so forth and so on. It's like, how do you handle this? So I'm gonna try to find a video and send it to Shantice and come back to it, because I think that needs a little more review. Again, you know, I have to applaud his effort. You know, for the past 2 weeks, Viv has brought, you know, some, he says, you know, I want to address these issues. That was part of his campaign. And out the box, he's literally addressing the issue. He has not, you know, it's not like he's silent and we don't hear what he's doing. So, you know, it's almost like Trump. You know, when he first got in there, he definitely attacked the things that he wanted to attack. So, you know, a round of applause for Mamdani. And he's tackling some hard stuff here. And, you know, last week we talked about him attacking the issue of more affordable New York City, but then running into it being less affordable, you know, more affordable. I was right, more affordable, but now it ended up being less affordable. This week we talk about this mental health issue and crime and how we handle it. So this is difficult. This is a difficult one. Definitely a difficult one. We got to check in from Pastor KL. Hey, Pastor KL, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Okay, so our next story is quite interesting. I really thought this could have been right alongside of the wow story. Not a huge wow, but a wow story. So, in the aftermath of the snow, we know that even on the news, we saw people, the newscasters, showing photos and videos of people who had submitted photos and videos of what it looked like in their neighborhood, in their town. You know, were they able to get around? Were they not able to get around? How much disaster the snow had caused, so forth and so on. So, you know, this is huge on social media. And it's not the first year that it's huge on social media. So in the aftermath of the snow, of course, people were doing the same thing, plastering all over social media. So Jason Thompson, who is a mail carrier for over 20 years, shared what his mail truck looked like as it was buried in the snow when he got to the office, and he showed that the lots were not plowed. He wasn't happy with the unsafe conditions, and he put it out there. Well, the powers that be got to it, and they decided to put him on unpaid leave for posting their lack of, you fill in the blanks. And he then took to just taking a leave altogether, a mental health leave, I think Viv said, and they mandated that he remove the post because I guess they didn't want to be called out on what they had not done. So Vivian is asking, should this have stayed private? Because we always talk about, why is everything on social media? Or did he have the right to, post and be left alone? I'm going to add that little piece there. Shantice, what say you?
Why are you mad? Because you ain't do your job. So you're mad because you didn't he posted that y'all didn't do that. So now you get mad at him, but now it's public that y'all felt some type of way. You might as well have just left him alone. Because it was one level for him to post that. It looked like he was in Antarctica. I was like, well, where is he delivering mail to? To the Eskimos? But it's one thing when it's like, oh, dag, they couldn't do it. But now that it's made public that y'all felt some type of way that he posted about it, it makes it even worse for you. You must have just shut up and left it alone. Or do your job. How do y'all expect them to be effective with doing their job and they're not doing it for them? So was he supposed to shovel the truck out himself? Because now if he's unable to do his job, you'll be criticizing him for that. But where the powers that be that should ensure that part is at least done. I didn't come in and say, well, listen, there's still snow out there, so I'm not carrying any mail. I'm not getting the mail delivered. I don't know what y'all gonna do. It wasn't said that was his attitude, but come on. This is like a landlord 101. This is like if I live in an apartment building, I don't go outside and shovel in front of the building. That's the super's job. The landlord is to ensure that the super does it. So it's the same thing here.
Okay. Lady Tamika, what say you?
It's so funny that, they have this postal creed, neither snow nor sleet nor whatever that is. And you want to make sure that your workers get there. But you won't do the due diligence to ensure that they get to do their job. And unfortunately, I know a couple of postal workers that, their vehicles don't have snowshoes in the winter, snow boots or whatever it is. They're supposed to have these chains that when they get ready to drive, it helps them, be able to move, and they're not equipped with that. In the summertime, they're not given the proper fans, so they have to do their own due diligence. Like you buy a scarf and you wet it and you put it on your head in the summertime, or you wrap it around your neck to cool because you don't have an air conditioner. And in a nice world, it would be right to be able to say, listen, my job is not covering me. But here we go again. This is another company. You signed on the dotted line. There are certain things that you can't do. You can't make your company look bad. Unfortunately, you standing in your uniform on your property, taking pictures, you signed on the dotted line. What are we doing here?
Here we go. We talked about this, last week? So here we are back again. So we have a problem here because here's the thing. I agree with both of you. Shanti said something. The first thing I thought about was, well, nobody would have known. Okay, so here's the thing. Everybody got snow, right? So the man who comes or the company who comes to shovel the snow in the lots, at the place where the mail truck was, he got snow too. All right. So if he got snow, then there's a big chance that he has not been able to shovel himself out in order to get to the building and the lot. before some of the other people who work there. So to me, that wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world. I don't know the schematics. I don't know the internal workings of this thing here. So could it have been a delay? Absolutely. So if it was a delay, now you've got somebody showing up earlier whose mail truck and lot is not prepared for them to go to work. All right, so take your picture and go home. But because everything's got to be on social media, you now take a picture of private property. And this is where you get hemmed up. Because despite the fact that it should have been done, and you're absolutely right that it should have been done, have you taken the time to consider what limitations were there that prevented it from getting done? And you post the negligence of the postal system. You think they're going to take that lightly? Now, on the flip side of this whole thing, I say the same thing about the postal company, the postal service, the building, so maybe your people got hemmed up or snowed in or whatever the situation is and they could not get out. The posting of this, to me, is not the end of the world, because all that had to do, that was a quick explanation. People couldn't get out. Again, if the place is snowed in if at 2020 Mockingbird Lane is snowed in, then Main Street is snowed in as well. Everybody's snowed in at this point. So my thing is, why is it such a big deal across the board? Just the general aspect of it. Why is it such a big deal? You couldn't get the people to come out to shovel your place, and they couldn't come out to shovel before you got there. Why is it such a big deal on either side? But unfortunately, there's always a loser. And you're the biggest loser, dope. Because I would have taken those pictures and that video to take and let the people know that I was there. You can never say that I didn't show up, because here's the proof. I was there. This was taken from my phone, the video and the pictures. And like you have said, and Brian is saying in the chat room, you're on private property now. So stop. Just stop. Take your pictures, your video, go home, get back up underneath them covers and go to bed and be happy that I got to work and I could stay home now. Now you home for much longer than you wanted to be. And then now you're home and you ain't got no pay. So who actually messed up here? Stop posting everything. Understand that things happen, and it is what it is. I don't get it. So, Viv asking this question is actually a really good question. Should this have stayed private? Should this have been posted? No, I agree. No, it should not have been posted. And you would have been much happier had you just took your little pictures and went home and just put your phone in the warmth of your bed with you. Stop doing too much. And you're too old. You look too old. See, you know what this look like, ladies? And y'all tell me if y'all agree. This look like something kind of spiteful. Oh, yeah. Here, this is what, this was so-and-so, they ain't even shoveled the snow. And, I can't even do my job. I don't know, Shanti, did you take it that way?
It could have possibly been that. He didn't look like that in the photo. He didn't look like, oh, I'm so mad. It just was more of like, so how am I supposed to do this? That's what it like. Okay. A little more sarcastic than like malicious. Like I just want to, like I'm I'm a tad bit annoyed, but not really annoyed, but just a little perplexed as to how I'm supposed to be successful at my job today versus could this have been, taken care of? Because I get the whole, if I'm here, if we've gotten snow, then whoever's job it is to plow, shovel, whatever has gotten snow too at the same time. Is he also dealing with bosses, supervisors that have kind of like that attitude of, I don't care, get out there and do it? And you like, okay, I get that, but how? Unfortunately, we don't know that because I've worked with people. We were just talking about, when we got all that snow, we were just talking about, I was just telling Pastor Steph about how restaurant managers don't care. The snow could be up to your neck. And they'll be calling you like, oh, okay, we're coming back in 30 minutes and let me know how you are. Okay, hello. They don't call you back in no half hour. I'm not coming. And then only to see other servers and stuff was posting that during, like, why I'm a bartender, why they still want me to come to work. Now that's luxury, 100% luxury. That's not even something like mail, USPS or anything like that, where people are relying on their mail and anything like that. So we don't know what his circumstances are, the dynamic between him and his bosses. But I took it as to be just a little more sarcastic than for it to be malicious.
Okay. Tamika, can you grasp the concept of,
Having issues with my sound. I'll be back.
All righty. Well, you know what? I definitely see where you're coming from, Shantice. Pastor KL says he's on the level of, in order to do my job, they must do theirs. And I get it. I definitely get it. And again, if you have that boss, that manager, that supervisor that's real messed up, then that's why I said take your pictures, take your video, and go get back in your bed. Because if you said anything to me, let me just show you a little something. I did show up. Now, I couldn't do my job because you didn't. This job here wasn't done. That's my point. Lady Tamika, more sarcastic than malicious, or the opposite?
I think this is one of those things, and the reason why I say that is that, I kind of have sympathy in a sense because I know how the postal system works, with regard to, your mail count every year. They count how many pieces of mail you get, and that will tell you whether you get raised or whether you stay where you are or whether you get demoted to another department. And with all the things that the post office does to the workers, this is probably one of those times where he's, I'm so sick of this stuff. Let me post this. This I think it was one of those things. I'm agitated. I'm angry. And now you won't even, shovel up this thing. Now, whether he got there early or whether the snow truck got there late, the issue is I can't do my job. So, you know what? I'm a post it. Oh, stand. I am not hearing.
Okay.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay. Viv says, I say show it because as an employee of the state, city, or whatever, they should do their job, a better job. Obviously, y'all expected me to be here today to do my job, and that does not include shoveling the truck. And I agree with all of you, but I also think it should be looked at from both sides. There should be some concern from both sides. Here you have a person who shows up and he sees nothing is done. Everybody is shoveled in at this moment. I don't know how many people are assigned to this. Do I expect it to be done? Absolutely. Should it be done? Absolutely. But are we not all shoveled in? It's not where one block is snowed in, but the other block isn't. Now, somebody might say, well, he made his way out, so therefore you could make your way out. I don't know what it took for anybody to make their way out. So it should have been looked at from both sides, from the employee side. From the employer side, you know how this goes. You know how people are. You know they're gonna post stuff. And did it make it look bad on your part? Could it have been where, you know, the company or the people that you hire to clear out the lots, to shovel out the trucks, had a hard time getting there? So that could have been the answer right there. Why are you putting somebody on leave and making yourself look bad? Because if you went to do your due diligence, you hired the people, you can't speak as to why they didn't show up. All you know is somebody got there and they hadn't been there. So now you look bad by putting somebody on leave because now it looks like you didn't do your job. So it's just this crazy cross that's happening. And I think it's just an issue of nobody's giving the other side enough leeway. And at the end of the day, it's just too many how do they say it? There are too many wings and tentacles here. And unfortunately, as the employee, you're on the losing side. You're on the losing side because they're the powers that be and they run the paycheck. So, oh well. What are you going to do now? Just next time, keep your mouth shut. That's all. Don't post a job. You're on private property. Don't post a job. You work there. It ain't like you just walking past Walmart and saying, yo, look at Walmart. This your job, Dodo. You know, you don't think that they may just respond in a negative way? Oh, brother. All righty. The nurses are still on strike. I got pictures from check this out. I got pictures from people who actually went to the hospital for like checkups and things like that, who sent me pictures. I don't know why they sent me pictures of the picketing that was going on. I actually went to the doctor, to a Mount Sinai doctor, and it was on their board, this huge board. They explained to us that yes, the nurses were still on strike, but we should not have experienced any difficulty or any, lagging of care, so forth and so on. So now the nurses have moved to the next level, and they are calling out Governor Kathy Hochul, who has seemed to be quite silent, since this has been this 4-week walkout. They are not happy with the fact that she has not spoken up enough for them. She hears their plights, and I say plights because they have many complaints. She hears what their plights are. She feels like they feel if she does better, they can get to the table and really get to discussing some things and finding out how we're going to resolve this, because out of state nurse temps are really not the way to go. Being that they could put this in motion during the time that they strike, there's not really a hard push, because now you got one side saying, hey, we could do without you because we got nurses. And then you got the other side that's saying, hey, they're doing our job, but they're not taking care of the patients to the fullest degree. They are really feeling like the nurses feel that the temp staff is unstable, unsafe, and Kathy Hochul needs to step her game up. What do you think about that, Lady Tamika? Do you agree with the fact that she should be more vocal to help this strike?
I think that she absolutely should. I got my pom-poms for them, only because you think about it. You have someone's life in your hand. And, something as simple as creating the wrong authorization. As a temp, I keyed in the wrong thing, but you don't understand that keying in the wrong thing for a patient jeopardizes their life. You key in something, let's just say a surgery, and you put in the key for the left leg. Well, what they needed was the right leg that needed, servicing. So now you're taking, the healthcare and safety from them. I think that this is a really important thing. And as someone who is I've been going back and forth trying to get just a schedule to go to the doctor for my vocal, therapy. It's taken over a month for me to just get. I have never been at a point where I've called a hospital and they said there's nobody available to take your call. This was and no voicemail. I couldn't leave a voicemail, so I had to keep calling until I could get a schedule. You got to get this thing done, because something simple like a voice, okay, fine, I can function. As you can see, I'm functioning. However, you got people with heart issues, bleeding issues, breathing issues that need emergent care. And they can't be handled by a temp that's just like, I keyed in the wrong.
Yeah. This can get pretty dangerous. Shantice, they say, listen, she needs to speak up, because she ain't helping by being quiet.
I agree, especially with them seeing that the powers that be are not really responding at all to say yay, nay, whatever, because like the typical person, they're able to fall back to the default. So we got these temps, or we got whomever, or we got people who are willing to work for less money, whatever. So why are we going to revisit your demands or your requests or your concerns? And it's like, but are we asking for anything that is too far out the box? Are we asking for anything that is just ridiculous? So I agree. She definitely needs to, while she is trying to implement making it to where it's legal, or if you have a terminal illness, you can kill yourself. How about helping the nurses who can help the terminally ill? It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So you'd rather put your head in that more than this? Because either way, and remember, there were so many steps to even get in that process approved. The doctors are nothing without these nurses. So with all of these signatures that's needed for a terminally ill patient to make the choice as to whether they want to kill themselves or not, you need multiple doctors to sign off on this. The doctors cannot be attentive and effective enough if it's not for these same nurses. So in order to put your plan in effect, these are the people that you need. You ain't think about that.
I agree with you ladies. Like, ain't this your job? This your job. How can you stay silent when there is something so detrimental on the table? How can you possibly not, if you haven't been absolutely silent, how come you have not been more vocal? Let's put it like that. How come you have not pushed? You should be pushing for a resolution. Is this how you want your state to run? Is this how you want your city to run? Is this what you want to go on the books for happening underneath your watch? Because guess what? It's on the books now that under your watch, they managed to get in at least 4 weeks of striking, which meant that your hospitals have not been operating to its ultimate potential, that your clinics have not been operating to its ultimate potential. New York City, have you lost your mind? Let me tell you something. There are people who have left the state who will come back to New York City for care, because they will tell you, we don't get this treatment. They don't have this. We were in Pennsylvania, and I had a wound that needed to be checked. Oh my God. Oh my God. All I needed was gauze, cleaning solution, wound vac. And that's when you have like an open wound, and what they do is they put a machine. They put a machine with, you have like a sponge on your wound, and the machine is sucking 24 hours a day because they're suctioning out any impurities and things like that, and it helps to heal the wound faster. Simple. Well, that's for New York. Simple. We had to go to the clinic and we waited hours. Do you know why? Because when we didn't go to the clinic, we went to the hospital. We went to the ER. And we waited hours because there was one person who had not only access to gauze, sponge. I had the machine. You didn't have to do that. But just the supplies. Just the supplies. That's it. I didn't need her to check the wound. I didn't need her to, I mean, she has to because I have to go. But they did. One person had access and knowledge. Nothing like New York. I'm sorry. So this is the way you want your city to run? You're an idiot. You're an idiot. When those ladies and men decided to get on that picket line, you should have been right there. You should have been right there. The very next morning, you should have been like, okay, let's get to this table. Let me see. Because you've already gotten a snapshot of what they want. You already heard a little bit of something. Because remember, the threat was there. So by the time they actually took to the picket line, you should have been right there the next morning. Okay, listen, we need to resolve this. What can we do? Again, the same thing I said about Mamdani. You got people who know what to do here in your camp. Why are you acting like you don't have any knowledge of what to do? But you're surrounded by people who do know what to do. So you know what? Shame on you. Shame on you that you have actually allowed this to go on for this long. And baby, it's going down on the books because they chronicle everything. Everything. You know what? You're a dope. You're a shit dope. You got to check it from our girl. She is. You got to check it from our girl, Teresa. Hey, Teresa. Brian says, because of the legal issues, you can't be vocal as much. Who we talking about? We can't be talking about the governor. Is that who we talking about, Brian? Or we talk about Tamika and her vocal issues? I need to know what you're talking about. I just asked.
The other thing that scares me about this whole thing of getting out of state temps, and just because I have inside privy, when you're doing an authorization or whatever, there are codes for the state of New York that don't apply to any other state. New Jersey is right next door, and the codes is still different. And so I'm thinking about, just little simple things like that can cause all kinds of chaos because you think right. Or just like, nobody has time. Okay, you in training, you attempt, and somebody says, you need to intubate. What do I do? We don't have time for you to sit there and try and figure out how to put this tube down somebody's throat. They cannot breathe. You don't have time for you to look for a senior agent to help these people. So get them there. 28 days is waiting.
Okay. Well, Brian says he's talking about the Tamika issue. Be careful. They might come after you, Tamika.
I don't work for them no more.
So she can play with
there's so many legalities and stupid rules, and there's so many things. Again, so many wings and tentacles here. Good point, Brian. Actually, because I know a few nurses who don't work in New York, and I have been dying to get them on. So I've been trying to figure out how can I get them on, just to ask some critical questions like, how bad could it get? Having temps, because there's certain things that go on in my head. You mentioned somebody who needs to be defibrillated. Well, every hospital layout is not the same. So even if your training is the same and you know how to defibrillate somebody and you can pick up and work anywhere, you don't know the layout of the place because you're getting on the spot and you've got to work immediately. There's no training period here. Who's training you? All the new people? So, you know what I'm saying? It's like, who's training who here? Because everybody else is on the picket line. So I've been dying to get a couple of nurses that I know who are out of state, just to come in and I know they can't be as vocal, because they have
Right.
to protect. So we got to be real careful about what I can talk about, what I can ask, what they can say. So you're right, Brian. And sometimes you're kind of stuck because everybody coming after everybody these days. Look at the postal situation.
Right.
So and nobody
Right.
can, speak. If for me, you can't say nothing to me because I'm here. It's just a matter of opinion. But it's really a sticky situation across the board. All right. So we're celebrating today. And you know what? I completely forgot. This is what Vivian does during Black History Month. And I applaud her for, keeping in line with what she does. Out in South Africa, there's a 16-year-old girl who actually used her brain for more than a hat rack. And out in South Africa, I'm excited to hear that this is a 16-year-old young lady who is concerned about the women who are being abused. And she, for her, like a science project, she developed earrings that can take photos and then send messages to the police, to the authorities. And she received a bronze medal for her what do you call the thing?
Invention.
Project. And now she's expanding on it. And she's probably got funding to get this done. Shantice, what say you for our young lady?
This is amazing, and especially with Vivian and I, our last episode on With All Due Respect, we spoke about the human trafficking and it affecting every age and both genders. And this is amazing. This is amazing because, again, as a trafficker, unfortunately, we did learn that 50% of the victims are caught up in trafficking from their family members. So if you have this, accessory and you're a minor, more than likely your family members, someone in your family is going to know, versus if you're an adult and you may just it's not like I'm not telling my family because I think, well, are you going to be the one? Are you going to be the one? To get me caught up in, anything, even if it's not something like human trafficking, but just in anything. But, as an adult, I may not mention it. I may just wear it. Where as a child, you may be aware, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, cousin, whomever, that I have this accessory. But this is really good because typically when you're as a perpetrator, when you're in that mode, you're not going to be paying attention to things like this. Again, it looks like a regular earring. So I'm figuring I'm just taking you. I'm abducting you. I'm following you. I'm doing whatever. Not knowing that you're on candy camera, dude. So now everybody knows, everybody know what's going on, and you thinking you on the low, but no. So I think this was really, really, really good, especially with this being publicized a lot more. This human trafficking, and you can't go on Facebook primarily now without seeing dozens of children missing. So this was a really good invention, and kudos to her.
All righty. Lady Tamika, the jewelry lady, the earrings lady. Terrence is always admiring your earrings. What's your thought on this?
Boy, I think this is an amazing thing, and in a place like Africa where, children and women just show up missing, you go to bed with all of your family and you wake up and, portions of your children or the neighborhood are missing. I think it's beautiful that, she came up with it. And I think it's something, that should go everywhere. We don't even know in our own neighborhood, you see a young lady or even now a male, that's being trafficked and you don't know. You just think that his hand on her shoulder just means, they're together. But in actuality, he's letting her know I'm in control of it. And so, I think that's something that, should go out all over the world, with and because the fact, something that somebody can buy. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're in that type of trouble, you only have access to so much money.
Right. Kudos, shout out, congrats to this 16-year-old young lady who was very innovative. You saw a plight, she sees a need and she met the need. It became more to her than just putting, showing the planets, the science project or building a volcano. What they normally do, with the science projects. She really used her brain. And I say, this is just the beginning. Right. This is just the beginning. Do we put it on belts? Do we put it on, hair accessories? Do we put it on a necklace? You can go anywhere with this now. And all because a young woman, a young lady, and I'm so happy that it's us. Hey, yes. Because we are not shouted out for, all of the inventions. We do a lot of it here. We show a lot of it here. We would have no idea. Pastor Brenda and Pastor Vinny yesterday, last night when they had their segment, when they closed out with shouting out to several inventions from, Black people. Mm-hmm. And, we've gotten past the traffic light now and, the first open heart surgery. We've gotten past that because for a while we didn't even know that much. Now we know that much. Now it's time to push this thing and really, get this done as to really show the brain power that God has given Black people. It has not just been given out to the white people. That's the way it's always looked. That's the way school has put it out there. Black people are not, acknowledged for all of their, innovative things that they have done. So again, and not only that, she's a female. So I'm like, yo, go do your thing, girl. Because again, you're in countries where women don't have a voice. Women don't have a voice. They suppress and oppress them. So, hey, she's managing to get this done. God bless her. And I really pray that she's going to get the funding. And I'm going to tell you something. Now that it's out there, you don't know what countries are going to be paying her to do what? She's just in South Africa now. But where is she going from here? So, amen. Shout out. Thank you, God, for all that you do. Thank you, Vivian, for bringing this to our attention during Black History Month. That was a great one right there. That was a great one.
That's what I'm sorry, Pastor Steph. I was thinking that too. I was like, I hope she does not sell. I hope she does not sell it. Keep it and you market it and you push it the way you choose to. Do not sell it because they never, and that's the point of them getting you to sell it. They never give you what it's really worth. So no, we come up with the inventions and we sell it to them and they do what we should have done. No, keep it and you keep it going.
Yeah. And again, if she gets, she's going to get a lot of attention from other countries because they're going to find use not only for them earrings, but they're going to come up with some other stuff and they're going to challenge her. Can you do this? Can you do that? What about this? What about that? Because like I said, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking of several areas that, so now a trafficker picks up that your earrings, so they remove your earrings. But what else can you do that would be undetectable? So, God starts a process. He's going to finish the process. So like you said, don't give away your blessing. Don't give away what God has given you, because not only will they do what they want to do with it, but now you're squashed out. Nobody would ever know. So here you got 10 years from now. This is a huge thing. Nobody's going to know that this came from a 16-year-old Black girl in South Africa.
Right.
Somebody's going to take credit for this because they're going to put one little piece of a little chip on it, a little wood chip, and now it's theirs. So, praying that she has some good advisors who help her to do what she needs to do to protect herself. Going back, Brian says the best way to get around all of that is to make sure you have the best insurance money can buy. Yes, so if they come after you, you can protect yourself. And Vivian says that was a viewer submitted story. Thank you to our loyal viewers. Amen. Amen. All right. Thank you, Viv. Now that you tuned in, thank you. Job well done today, as always. So I'm going to expand the very first story. Yeah, that's right. The very first story with Mayor Mamdani, wanting to do something. Again, he's kind of piggybacking on, a concern that has been raised, because at one point they were talking about sending out, when the calls come out, that they send out both. They said, I don't know if you ladies remember this, but they were talking about sending out both the health, the mental health worker, as well as they would accompany the police. And my concern earlier was, if you're out in the street, will you know to say that person is mentally ill? You may not know. If it's internal, they'll know. But how is it that we're going to get, the best treatment for that person, even when you do know? Pastor KL, so we could shut that down. Pastor KL said, unfortunately, money is a dangled carrot, and depending on their situation, she may sell out. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I said, let's pray that, she has the best advisors. If you ain't got nothing now, you won't have nothing later. Nothing leaves nothing. So hopefully that'll be the thought process. I pulled up a video that I saw the other day. Let's talk about this. Shantice, thank you.
Stop! Xavier! Xavier! Come here, Xavier! Turn around, JB.
No.
Turn around. Stop. Stop.
Ma, come here.
Xavier, come here. Xavier, go to your room.
All right, y'all. So this is just a little insight of JB's room. See, he broke his TV not too long ago. His bed frame, he broke. Mom just put up this curtain. Now she's trying to fix a little bit of other stuff in his room. He messed up his...
Oh boy. Oh boy. I saw this video the other day. And, first thing comes to your mind, you see a kid kicking the mother. And then I saw her running around with this frying pan. And I'm like, okay, well, why she ain't using the frying pan? And right. I read the comments. I went to the comments, and they were saying that this was her son, and he was autistic. Oh, boy. So now we're talking about when the cops come out. The statistics that Viv read is 7 out of 10% involve the police, and 1 in 4 calls are fatal. We just got finished talking about the Sonia Massey case, where they say she was mentally ill and she ended up being killed by a police officer who said he thought his life was in danger. Just from what she said. She didn't even do anything, but just from what she said. Now, they show up on site to this home with him acting like this. He's spitting, he's throwing things, he's kicking mom. What happens now? So, show up with mental illness workers. Is that the answer? Do they get there before the police officers do? Can the police officers be held back until someone with, from that, those mental services arrive, and they must be accompanied before they go on site. Do you possibly wait for a fatality to happen because you standing outside waiting for the mental illness person to show up, or someone getting gravely injured? Lady Tamika, what are we doing here with this initiative to help the mentally ill and them being approached by police?
I think it's a fine line that we have been walking and continue to walk. The thing about this now is that it's now in Mamdani's hands. Here's one of those things. Again, you need to utilize those people who've been there, kind of know what's been going on. It's really nice to say, I want to solve this, but what tools do we use? This is why we've been having this thing for over a year, for years. Okay, fine. You have the police there, and they got to wait for the mental, to the establishment that handles, mental concerns get there. They get there late, and now the mother is deceased, because the cops had to wait. Or, you've got situations where the mental people are there, to help, and it goes far beyond what they phantom, and the police are not there. Now what? So it's really a fine line. How do you do this? Do you have somebody on the phone? And, is that going to help? How? That's a real serious situation, and very difficult. I just hope that whatever choice he makes, decisions that he makes, that it really does work.
Okay. Vivian says, yes, I appreciate these videos that spread light on what it's like parenting a child with autism or other special needs. This will help push leaders to make changes like how to deal with 911 calls. And that was my thought when I read the comments, and I was like, oh my God, he's autistic? How in the hell do you and that's what I said to myself. Like, how the hell do you handle this? How do you respond to this as a parent, as law enforcement, as mentally ill, services department? How do you handle this? By the time that someone gets there, someone would have gotten hurt. Absolutely. At this rate, absolutely, Viv. Shantice, this is what Mamdani is trying to resolve. Is this going to be resolvable in your opinion?
Yes, if, like Vivian said, they do the proper training. See, unfortunately, these police and the lawmakers and the law keepers have not been doing their due diligence. So where you should be able to call the cops and the authorities, and they handle each call by call, because everybody wants to make it home safe, they would show up and hear this commotion outside the door and already be going in with their guns drawn already. So now that makes a hostile situation even more hostile, because now where the mother was calling for assistance to help calm her child, she now sees 2, 3, 4 cops running in, put your hands up, with guns blazing. Now she's going extra crazy. That could help to incite him. And now somebody gets stupid and shoots him. Now nobody wants to give up body cam footage. Now it's just like, so it, unfortunately, my thought would be they would have to be accompanied by someone who works specifically with that. So if you're sending them out, like you send out the police come, 2 by 2, then you send out a set mentally ill, you send out a set of police officers, because unfortunately you have more who are off their rockers than you do who are saying who actually want to do things by the book. So it's a lose-lose if you really think about it, but it's a lot safer to say, you know what, and they need to be on deck though. So if I'm calling and the dispatcher switches me over, again, do you need EMT, fire, police, or mental health, and I'm saying I need mental, you're hitting both. You're hitting both buttons for mental and cops. Both of y'all need to go to this location. It don't need to be, well, let me just hit mental. Oh, and by the way, hey, cops, go over to, no. It needs to be where I'm dispatching both at the same time. So everyone needs to be trained for this. Because if anybody goofs, it can potentially end up the way Mamdani is trying to prevent it from ending up. But this is their fault that now all these extra precautions have to be taken.
Just looking at the numbers, if you're saying 7 to 10 are behavior health concerns, then you need far more behavior health concern agents than you do police. How does that work? Make this make sense.
Right. Absolutely. Pastor KL says, my question is, what does autism stem from? Could it be because one of the parents was using drugs? Just asking. You know, from working with young people, I used to work in Bronx Psychiatric Center when I was young, and those kids were, oh my goodness, it can come from anything, Pastor KL. It could come from drugs. It could come from, I don't think a lot of people even realize there are two people. Do you realize that if you have your blood could not mix properly? Just as simple as that. That would cause some deficiency in the child. Do you realize that? It's just that simple. Could it be that she didn't take care of herself? Could it be she could have been living where they had like they talk about those towers and things like that, where the food is not well taken care of. The cows and the milk and the food we eat. This is a myriad of things. They cannot, and I've looked into this over the last couple of years, and they really can't put their finger on, because you have had two well parents, for what they know, produce a child who has autism. So this can really, there's no rhyme or reason for anything like that. Vivian said, hire people who are trained to handle this at the precincts. That way police can be accompanied by professionals. So Vivian is going where my head went. So I'm going backwards. Okay. So what was it, a year or so ago? We heard, I think it was last year, we heard that Kathy Hochul had an initiative here in New York where they were sending people to school for free. If this ain't an area that they need to send people to school for free, I don't know what other area needs it. A lot of the stuff that was on the schedule for free, people didn't even want. I didn't hear anything that was even interesting, that people were even going after. And what they did was they assessed the upcoming needs, technology, certain levels of nursing, blah, 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 blah. And now they wanted to train people in these areas. Well, listen, you have an issue right here in your face. So how about training more people from scratch? Now gather the people who have these degrees already and train them specifically in this area. Now, what do you do with these people? Make them a ride along. Because I'm saying to myself, even dispatching, even like Shanti said, if you press the button and you're pressing medical and police, are they going to arrive at the same time? You know what? You need to cross-train these people. You need to cross-train them. Well, you know, at certain stages, you stay out of the way. Here's why. Because how many times have these cops been called on site? They have no idea, and they don't even know it's someone who has a mental issue. But if there's a person who's trained already there on the ride along, then guess what? They can help detect when they get there, okay, you know what? This is how we need to handle this situation. And that way, you have the person on site. Once the police get there, nobody's waiting for the next one. And they're not guessing as to, oh, does this look like, oh, he looks like, she looks like. No, now you have a professional there who can help to, solve and resolve whatever this issue is. And to me, in my brain, that's the only way it's going to work. You're going to have to do better training. You're going to have to cross-train. You're going to have to make more people available here because, like I think it was Lady Tamiko said, we don't know, how these things, the ratio is out of whack already.
Right.
So you need to balance the scale. Make them a ride along. Make them a ride along. They already there on site. And cross-train them for certain things. Because you still need to be cross-trained for certain things. Look at how they constantly, even after George Floyd, how many videos are still taken with police, somebody on the ground, their knees are on the neck, their foot is on the neck, they're holding and restraining people, unsafe, it's still. So you really need to, or take some of these cops and cross-train them. Cross-train them. Why
they
not?
need training to be a cop. They can't handle that. They still need training to be a cop.
You gotta open up this floor. You cannot have, I think it was Lady Tamiko said, the ratio is out of whack. You got all mentally ill people and everything is being pushed over into the mentally ill department anyway. So you got all these people, whether it's real or whether it's, whether it's actual or whether it's something that's drummed up in your head, you have someone on site that says, okay, I'm there. Not only that, I got a body cam and I can show exactly what happened.
Yes.
That I have to turn over my body cam each and every day. That the police have nothing to say. You cannot cross the line when it comes to them. Now, are they going to end up being in danger? God only knows where this is going to go because everything is so unstable. But I really think that would be a resolve. I really do. I think one of the main causes of autism is genetics as well as the environment. Brian says, I'm telling you, there's no rhyme or reason. They have so many different things. They said when they took when they did a survey of like the parents and, how they ate and their medical history and blah, 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 blah. It was so varied that you really couldn't even, it may have been more on this side or more in this area, and they were even saying there are more African-American people who are born autistic than it is on the other side of the fence. So now we got to figure out why is that? If that's real, why? What are we doing? We already have a different genetic composition.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot to be concerned with and there's a lot to consider. But like I said, this particular video, this could turn out to be a real big mess.
Yes.
A real big mess. Because she's calling for somebody in the background and nobody's answering. Well, how do you know they're not scared?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know why. You don't know what they were doing. You don't know how far they were. Look at what they said about the room, the condition of the room. Shantice, look at the environment now. This woman has been enduring this for quite some time. What do you say about that? And now the police showing up, blah, 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 blah.
That's what I'm saying. Here's what will happen. Typically, they hear that already on the opposite side of the door. You come in hostile, even if it's to where they don't shoot him, but you're coming in hostile, and then you take a look at the room, and now the room justifies your actions. That's how they work. Well, look, you didn't see this, that, and the third, and she's calling for help. And this is what we heard on the other side. And we came in and he was mid-leg up in the air getting ready to kick her. And oh, but you didn't have to slam him on the floor like that. Yeah, but then look at the room. You don't think that it would have gotten to the point where he did? So unfortunately, it would help to justify their actions more than seeing why this mom needed the help. The focus would be taken off of that. And unfortunately, like it sounded like maybe the daughter was saying that, you know, the mom may be doing a little fixing up because, you know, things need to be done, but you broke your TV. You think you get another TV? That's luxury. That's not a necessity. It looked like he done broke the door, the hinge on the door, you know, probably tore out a curtain. That's why that material's up there. She said he broke the bed frame and all of that. So, you know, it's unfortunately with those things being seen like that, it doesn't really help for him, you know, as to where maybe if the mental health medics came, you know, that would show them what type of help he needs. And read the same thing on the opposite side.
All righty. Lady Tamika, he has caused all kinds of damage in the home. You know, this does not help, you know, what's going on. And how do you move forward with police and the mental illness society joining in on this thing?
Still very difficult, you know. And, you know, she did the best that she could, you know. Usually the first de-escalation is to call that family member. 9 times out of 10, that family member even knows what to do and what to say. Apparently that person, for whatever reason, didn't respond at all, you know. And, you know, now I have to put my child's fate in the hands of police officers who first initial response is not to have compassion on this person who's attacking me. It's to stop the noise, stop whatever it is that's being done right then and there. You know, whether that means a chokehold, whether that means to shoot you, whether that means to, you know, further break things, you know. And then my thing is, let's just say that they weren't downstairs in the living room, that they were in the bedroom that you saw, you know. You see the bed frame missing, you see the television gone. You know, if I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw a hole in the wall, you know, and 9 times out of 10, that's not the only hole. If he's done one hole, he's done other holes. She might have had to plaster, you know, she had to pay more money to have the holes. So I'm looking as a police officer, oh, this guy is off the chain. They're not thinking about mental health. They're thinking about this person is attacking her, whether this person is a family member, whether they need, you know, medical attention. No, it's just to stop the movement, to stop the noise, you know. And there's a fine line, and 9 times out of 10, there's some track in there. She's called. That's not the first time she's called, you know. But at this time, I'm here. I'm going to stop whatever's moving, you know. And if that means taking a life out, so be it. Which is very extremely sad. We didn't see multiple times where that was the end result.
Right. Unfortunately so. Woo. Ladies, this has been some kind of conversation. Thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation. And we pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Brian says, my question is, where is the father? Lord knows that's anybody's guess. That is anybody's guess. Maybe that's what she was calling. I don't know. You know, that's anybody's guess. And unfortunately, you know, we don't have. We've had this conversation, you know, quite a few times. Unfortunately, Dad is not around as much as he's needed. Let me put it like that. So we pray for this situation and other situations like it, you know. Okay, so I got some information for y'all. So you know we do the review. We have the My 2 Cents review. Brother Ainsley is he's always been like one who finds things that we just don't find. So when we started doing this review show, Shantice, I need you to put some stuff into the chat room for me as I call it out, please. So he found an app that he pays for that allows him to see everything. So with all the streaming services we were paying for, there was still some movies and things that we couldn't see. So because it wasn't available. So he, on the other hand, had no problem. He had this app, and it's an app you paid for that legally allows you to view movies. We're not talking about anything illegal. We're not talking about bootlegging or making them, what do you call those things? I don't even remember. Shantice, if you remember the name, when they bootleg the disc and Fire Stick and all that kind of stuff. We're not talking about anything illegal. So when he told us about it, when he went to check, I guess because it's so inexpensive, they only allow a certain amount of enrollments before they close it down. Well, he just sent us the app. He says, I can see completely everything. He reminds us. It's called RoamRush.com. Rome Rush. Shantice just put it in the thing. Rome in the chat room. RoamRush.com. And I'm sorry, .co. And he says that, everything. He pays like minimal, almost nothing, pretty much. Definitely cheaper than I was paying for 150 streaming services. And so we're giving this to you as a piece of information from now. And we have to jump on it quickly. He says, take advantage of the open enrollment now, because if it happens like it happened before, this will not be available. So as soon as we hang up from here, I'm jumping on and I'm enrolling. So why am I telling you that? Because we have an episode of My 2 Cents. Shantice, please put in there what we will be reviewing tomorrow night. And we are reviewing 2 movies, and we're going to continue the series of Mayor of Kingstown that is on Paramount Plus. Okay, so if you haven't, you want to join us. We're up to season 1, episodes 5, 6, and 7. We might as well go like the whole thing, because we did 1 and 2, we did 3 and 4, and I believe there are 8 episodes. So we're going to definitely do 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're definitely going to do those. If there are 8, we're going to finish it out. But if there's 10, we still have a few left. So that's Mayor of Kingstown on Paramount Plus. And it's streaming now, but we're starting from the beginning because we are reviewing 2025 series, and you can't jump into that if you haven't seen it from the beginning. So definitely join us. The movies we will be reviewing will be, let's see, The Knife, and that is on Stars. Okay, and we will be reviewing A Line of Fire. I'm not sure what streaming service that is on. Shantice, if you know it, please put it inside of the chat room. So those are 3 things that we will be reviewing tomorrow. Mayor of Kingstown, season 1, episodes 5, 6, and 7. We will be reviewing A Line of Fire, and we will be reviewing The Knife on Stars. So please join us at 7:30 tomorrow. Last week was hilarious. We had a good time, and come join us. Christian people can have fun too. We can look at movies too. And we are actually focusing on ethnic minorities. Now, the whole entire show or series or movie does not have to be, minority based, but has a minority presence that we're trying to get some attention to, because all of these huge award shows are really doing our people, and that's any ethnic minority. That could be Asian, it could be Hispanic, it could be just Black African Americans. It can be African. It can I know there's some Pakistani or that area of Indian movies that have really surged over the last few years. So, as long as they speak English, we'll do it. If you have some recommendations, we'll see what God says. We don't review everything. So, we do select. We jointly select. All right. So that's your information. Make sure you catch that streaming service, because we will when we hang up. Oh, so what are we talking about today? Oh, my goodness gracious. Thanks to Vivian and her socially conscious segment. There are so many things that are on the table. Let me make sure I go back so that I don't miss anything. You got Mayor Mamdani, who's trying to attack this, this mental illness, and how they are handled, the mentally ill, and how they handled when there is an uproar in their lives. These people can't, if they're not on medication and things like that, they can't help it. They can't help it. Look at the video we just showed. You think he can help that? And I'm going to tell you something. I have seen many autistic people not act like that. So we don't know what's going on in uproar. Why is there so much, violence? And we can't necessarily say it's the home, because we don't know. But what we do know is it can get that bad. What happens when the authorities are called? Because here's the thing. No one from inside that house will necessarily be the person that calls the authorities. Yes, if there's a whole bunch of banging and all kinds of things, neighbors could actually call. We're talking about the nursing staff, and will the governor speak up the way she needs to? Will she stay as silent as she has? And that will not help to bring a resolve to this issue. The fact is, our nurses need to be working. We're talking about people's lives. We're talking about our health. We're talking about the conditions of hospitals. We can't allow people who are not knowledgeable of let's say the locale of where things are, in proximity to when they need it, how quickly they can access it, the layout of the hospitals. Are we really leaving it to them to run our hospitals, or are we that concerned about the people of New York City to get this thing back on track? Because not only are you dealing with the ill, you're dealing with these nurses and their families. So this is a whole lot of stuff that's going on. We're also talking about the mailman, the mail carrier, who pretty much had to lose pay because of a bad decision. Yes, he has every right to post. However, we're going to have to be careful about everything we feel we have the right to do. Are we going to get some resistance? Are we going to get the results that we're aiming for? Should he have shown it? Maybe he should. But him showing it, what did it do for him? It may have done something for somebody else, but it sure didn't work out in his favor. We kind of talked about this last week, and maybe even touched on it the week before. Following rules. Is there anything in the policy that you signed that you would abide by that this crossed? And I don't think we're paying attention. I keep telling you, I'm coming to you from a different angle. I'm not only coming to you as a person with an opinion. I'm talking to you about a person who worked in that area for 20 years. And if they can snag you on some things, they can snag you on some things. And you don't want to be the person snagged on some stupid stuff. Is the stuff that you're doing controllable? Could he have controlled him posting? I don't want to hear about rights. Because at the end of the day, if he signed a contract with that postal service, with the federal government, that there are certain things he would not do, then guess what? They can always remind you of the fact that you said you were not going to do this. I need y'all to keep your heads together. I'm going to go, and why? Because I'm going to take this biblically. Let your yays be yays and let your nays be nays. When we are Christian people, we have to abide by the things of God. When God put that in that Bible, guess what? It crosses all lines. It is not just if I told my brother I was going to show up, to the hospital when he got there and I didn't, is it going to be the end of the world? That is everything, y'all. That is absolutely everything. We have said we are going to abide by these things on every single level. When he said, let your yeas be yeas and let your nays be nays. Stop bringing up this issue of rights. Oh, I have a right to do this. I have a right to do that. I should be able to do it. You might be right. And I'm not saying that you're not. I'm not saying that you don't have a right. But if you have signed and said, I am not going to smoke on the premises, then when we catch you smoking on the premises, even though you may feel you have the right, you no longer have the right if you have said, I am not going to smoke on the premises. Now, here's the thing. Yesterday, I was signing something electronically. And it's so funny because I was trying to hit the send button, but it wouldn't go. It wasn't highlighted. I'm like, what am I missing? Something's wrong. Because generally something's wrong if you can't hit the send button or whatever. So I scrolled up and sure enough, there's a thing that says, I have read and blah, blah, blah. And boy, did I zero in on the blurb that was there. It says, I have read and I accept. That doesn't mean that that I agree. It says, I have read and I have accepted what I have read. That does not coincide with agreement. Pay attention. Pay attention. Here's what I love about God. How he moves you in your Christian journey. You will look back on the life you had before God, and you will realize how much God prepared you back then for what you're doing now as a Christian. He is going to teach you something back then that you may never pay attention to until you are taking your Christian journey. And as much as I understood back then, and I've said it here over the course of the years, but especially over the last couple of weeks, I understand because I've told you before, I don't care nothing about whether you agree or not. You're accepting the rule. And even I, who already know, who already knew before this conversation even came up, the week before last week, that's what I'm now paying extra attention. Because I could have easily just said, oh, I didn't check the box and move on. But it was highlighted. Why was it highlighted? Because God has alerted us to things. And this is why I say to you, you're not on this broadcast to be entertained. There's a lot of information that comes across. When we're talking to you, God is giving us something to give to you. We're taking information. And I know sometimes and I said this over the past few weeks, I know the news can get real rattling at times. I tell you, sometimes I spend hours looking up news and I'm tired because I don't get news early in the day because a lot of the news really doesn't heighten until later. So I can't look at news at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon because the things ain't happened yet. And because we're on an internet-based news platform, news is hitting. It's not like years ago where you had to wait for the paper or wait till they get it on TV news or radio news. Stuff is hitting right away. So I don't necessarily go for news early. I go for news a little later. And sometimes it's so challenging to get something that's not about somebody murdering somebody blowing somebody's head off, somebody robbing somebody's a school shooting. Because some of the stuff becomes so repetitive. It takes so long to get news sometimes. There are a couple of days during the week I breeze straight through. No problem. I look to bring you something. God is giving me an eye to bring you something that's quality. And something that he can speak through. And he can speak through anything, but are we sending new messages or are we just keep rehashing the same old messages? So he wants to bring you something new. And I'm bringing up this whole thing about signing because, listen, we got these things here. Our news, even from Vivian, has something to do with our agreement. What are we agreeing to? Are you agreeing to these things, and then later on, when it's just, you didn't anticipate this stuff, it's like, oh, now, I'm stuck. Now I gotta agree with this. Now I've already agreed with this. So now, yeah. Sometimes we're gonna have to abide by some rules that we may not be happy with because we have already said that we would, and we have not, for whatever the reason is, we have not either prayed or thought far enough that when we get to that point, we now are running into a calamity. A lot of times, and be honest, a lot of times we are moving with the quickness, and it's, well, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. How many of us have said that? How many of us have not thought out what we're going to do, and little stupid stuff happens, all because we didn't take that extra 5 minutes to consider that there is biblical. Everything is biblical. So God wants us to pay attention. When Kathy Hochul signed that she would take on to be governor, guess what? She took on that she would take up these matters. You have no, you really have no option whether you're going to stay silent or you're going to talk this much. No. You agreed that you would help to resolve these matters. Guess what, girl? It's on now. You may have crossed your fingers and hoped that there was not going to be any strike, but now that there is, guess what? You got to step your game up. That's all of us. What are we moving in this? And I'm watching this more of us moving in this. I have a right. Do it. I'm going to do it. More than us kind of stopping for a second, looking at the big picture and saying, you know what? Let me consider. And that takes God. I'm telling you, it does. It takes God to broaden your understanding. And I always say that the word of God is narrow but broad but yet narrow. A lot of us use it to our comfortability, rules. I'm just talking about rules in general. But are we making decisions for the right reasons? And here we've got questionable decision making in most of Vivian's presentations. So that's how quickly it can happen. That's how quickly we're faced with these things. Let's do what God wants us to do. Your best decision making will be when you concede and surrender to the Spirit of the Lord. It will never lead you wrong. Ever, 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 ever. And even, I have a tagline that I say, just because I don't agree does not mean I don't understand. And the Spirit of the Lord has, really directed me to do some things that I'm like, but I have to go with it because it's God's way. And if I've made up in my mind that I am going to do God and not do Stephanie, then guess what? Whether I agree or disagree, because God will reveal why later. I promise you. There's a saying in the Christian world, we'll understand it better by and by. As time goes on, it'll make more sense to you. You may not get it right now, but do what the Lord says in faith. Have that faithful obedience, not just being obedient because God said so and I'm just robotic and I'm just but because God, I'm sure, is appreciating it being more faith-based than robotic-based. Why? Because he made us free agents. He understands that we won't understand everything. He gets it. But he wants us to move in faith. And in order for us to bless God, the word says without faith, there is no pleasing God. So when you're being obedient, do it faithfully. So I don't just say obedience most times. I now say faithful obedience, because that's that obedience that I may not quite understand it. Forget about faith is, the substance of things that you don't see, but what you are hoping for. I'm not talking about that. I'm expanding this here, because the Bible helps us to expand that one verse. That when I'm obedient, I'm moving in faith. I'm not just going to jump out here and do it. And then when somebody says, well, why did you do it? I say, well, because the Lord said so. No, we can't. Because people need more than that. Because you're going to run up against a person who's not going to be that, obedient. They're not going to, they don't, because for many reasons. Every time I do something somebody tell me to do, it don't work out in my favor. That's where faith comes in. But because of their history and experience, they don't want to go on faith. So this is why I say you're going to have to present more than because God said so. You're going to have to say, I went by the job, I got there, and I was pissed because it really looked like nobody was there to do their job. Now, I didn't shovel myself out. I didn't walk 9 blocks through the snow. It was up to my knees. It took me 15 minutes normally, but then now it takes me 45, 50 minutes to do the same walk. And I get all the way here, and now I ain't got no way to do my job. Click, 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 click. Okay. Or are you standing still long enough to say, well, Dad, you know what? I did park my car in the garage, and me and my 2 sons shoveled periodically. So by the time it was time for me to get out of the driveway, we had pretty much done it, and it wasn't much more, much to do. I got them up early since school was closed, and we shoveled, and I was out. Now, there was no way I could make it through the last, 45 minutes part, because nobody had shoveled there, but I could walk. It took me a little bit longer, but I could walk. I was able to park, but I could walk. That changes everything. Because if you think like that, then you're thinking that maybe the people who were actually hired to do that, could that have been the situation? Or are you going, well, they never shovel. Every time there's a snowstorm, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you know this is going on, then, oh, well, take your pictures, go back home, get in your bed, and when somebody approaches you about not being there, now it's on you. Because guess what? I was there. I'm showing you right here. I was on site. After I didn't shovel my car out, after I didn't walk the extra 45 minutes to 50 minutes to get there, I was here. And it was too cold to stand outside and wait. So I came back home. Now you have a fight. Now you have a fight. But are you going to continue to disarm yourself because of your rights? God needs you. God is breeding thinkers. He needs you to expand that thinking. Now, I know this don't make you comfortable. I know that. I know that, because like every time we do something, every time we say something, Pastor Steph shoots us down. Pastor Steph is not shooting you down. It's God expanding your way of thinking. And if you have made a commitment, to make Jesus and God your first priority, that you will do whatever it is they need to say, then He needs you to have a broader way of thinking. Why? Because the Spirit of the Lord is going to give you that. Where do you think I get this from? Where do you think I get this from? The Spirit of the Lord. I ain't think about this stuff on my own. I be acting like everybody else. But I'm conceding to what the Lord is saying. And the Lord is saying, I need you to act like me. You said you're Christ-like, right? You said you're a Christian. That's to be Christ-like. I need you to act like my son and myself. Be considerate. Be considerate. Think broader. Now you're pleasing me. Stop doing things that are going to please yourself and please man, and do everything to please me. Because remember, we're not working for the federal government. We're not working for the city. We're not working for the state. We're not working for these private, employers. Ultimately, we're working for God. How would God want me to handle this right now? And because we don't think like that, we make a lot of decisions that we end up behind the 8 ball. So come on. Think a little differently. And I promise you, you won't go wrong. I'm here to help you. And I want to see you win. I want to see you make it into the kingdom. Come on, let's go together. Now, we're going to be separate. But I would surely like to know that you lived the life that God was pleased with. And you stand a bigger chance of making it in or being kept out. Which one you going for? And every time you make a decision, that needs to be your question. What's my ultimate goal? Oh, Shantice, write that down. What's my ultimate goal? Is my goal to please me, or please God? What is my ultimate goal here? Am I stepping out of sight to please God? Or am I going to live in this me, them? Which way are we going? Are we going personal, lateral, or up? I say up. Go up and keep going upward. Because that's the only way we're going to make it in. Because the Bible tells us even the righteous shall scarcely make it in. You're going to have to keep pressing toward the mark that God is going to accept. Not me, or them. But him. I'm going to leave you there. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew, the ladies, for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and helping us to keep that chat room alive. Please do not miss the opportunity right now to accept Jesus as your personal Savior. If you've already done so, then please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. Until tomorrow, God spares. We should have a guest on with us. Our girl Athena is starting off this year with us on the right health level. And tomorrow night, 7:30, we will be on My 2 Cents right here live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live. And make sure you hang up from us and you jump on that app that gets you streaming across the board, Ainsley says. Until then, God spares. I love you.